Matt with Clearwater RV and Marine here again. So our last video we went over camshaft installation and timing on this Mercruiser 5.7 block. So now what we want to do is go over head installation and head gasket. There's really not much to this, so I'm not going to get too crazy going through it step by step. If one of you guys needs a video of, you know, actual torquing and all that, then we can do that, but there's a lot of literature out there on this. It's pretty self-explanatory. One thing that I do want to cover, well, two things. Always use new bolts, okay? They're super cheap. You know, old school mechanics are in the habit of pull the head bolts out, buff them, put them back in, they're fine. That's just not true. Anytime you torque something, you stretch it. So when you torque it the second time, you're definitely taking a chance. That's why they recommend you replace them. It's not a money thing, it's a need to do. I think you're in it $30 maybe for both sides for some good Felpro Marine bolts. So we're not talking about big money here. It's really cheap insurance. And another thing I want to cover that's come up many times with employees of mine and, you know, other people throughout the years is, how do you know the right way to put the gasket on? And really it's pretty simple. They're all marked, and if they're not marked, then if there is no markings that say front, back, left, right, then it doesn't matter which way you put it on, okay? Now, as far as this Felpro one is concerned, it says right hand, okay? So a lot of people think right hand would mean if you're facing the engine, it's on the right hand side. That's not the case. Hardly anything is done that way. It's always in, you know, retrospective, you sitting in the driver's seat. So picture yourself behind the engine. So if this says right hand, it means driver's side. If it says left hand, it means passenger side. And that's always. So don't get in the habit of facing the motor and thinking the right hand side is on your right hand side, because that's just not the case. The other thing is, if it's marked front, you know, obviously the front of the engine is always where the drive belts are, okay? And it doesn't matter if the motor's sitting sideways, rear facing, you know, mid-engine installation, it doesn't matter. The front of the engine is where the drive belts are, water pump, fan, drive belts. So keep that in mind. Now on this gasket, the only thing it has is right hand. So as a general rule of thumb, obviously lettering would face out. I don't believe it matters on this gasket though, but it does matter on the right hand. Reason being, these particular blocks, there's a steam hole right here that goes into the water pump galley, and it's right next to the piston, and there is not one on this side. So that's where it becomes critical that you don't put a gasket on the wrong side and block this steam hole off, and then you could really have a problem. So other than that, make sure it's clean, make sure your block is clean, oil free. Do not use any type of sealant on these gaskets, just install it. There's dowel pins on the block that index into your head gasket so that you can place it on the block and it'll hold it for you. And when you put the head on, you want to make sure you don't rub the head around on the gasket, okay? So even if you have to dry fit the head once without the gasket, so you know how to sit it on these dowel pins, that's a good thing to do, because once you go to put the head on, you don't want to rub it around on the gasket. You want to sit it on, torque it, and you're done. A lot of old school guys will say if you run the bolts down and you don't torque it, you're good to pull the gasket off. You know, you're okay to pull the head off and put it back on if you needed to. That is not the case. Do not do that. I know the gaskets are expensive, but throw them away and get a new set. If for some reason you tighten it down at all, the head gasket's done. You cannot remove the head and reuse it. Okay? Other than that, your new bolts come with a sealant coating on them. The Felpro Marine, they have the coating on them. You do not need to put any type of sealant or oil on them. And a lot of old school GM builders will all tell you you have to, use Right Stuff or black silicone on these because they go into water jackets on your lower set, and that is true. And if you don't have this sealant on them and you install them and torque them, you will have a leak. But if you get the Felpro Marine, they come sealed. They don't recommend you use anything. So I've never had a problem. But if they don't have this sealant on the threads, then what I'll generally do is just get some Right Stuff or RTV, anything like that, put a little dab on the threads. You don't need a lot, and then just clean it with your fingers so you get a good coating on the threads, and that's it. You don't want to gob it on here because you don't want it to interfere with your torque. You just want enough to seal it. Other than that, I think we've pretty well covered it. If you need to go deeper, let me know. We'll make a video deeper. Other than that, good luck. We'll do another video with valve train adjustment. That's a really important one, especially on a marine engine, to get right the first time, so you don't have to tear everything back apart to readjust them once it's in the boat and you realize you didn't do it properly. Thanks, have a good day.